Hello everybody, Evidence here. Remember my last video where I mentioned the endless stream of stupidity pouring from the creationists' videos? Well, I've got another one for you. Poor Jake in this clip have probably never encountered G-Man before, so he isn't familiar with the creationists' tactics. Besides mocking him, change the topic, answer a question with a question, strawmanning, muting him, misrepresent Jake's position, threaten to kick him, laughing in his face, using the no true Scotsman fallacy, changing the burden of proof, and making gestures while Jake speaks. I want you to compare, if possible, how many times Jake interrupts G-Man to the number of times G-Man interrupts Jake. If Jake even comes close to the times G-Man interrupts him, I will make a video appearing nude while singing Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
So where are you getting this idea that people are only learning when they're in church?
It's not the idea that people are only learning. It's that people are taking initiative and learning things that they wouldn't have learned in school, that they would have just been told was true through church. Now they have the internet and they have all of these ideas that they're being exposed to, and they're choosing secularism and atheism, or not even atheism,
That's not true.
Just leaving.
Wait a minute. That's not true. Okay, because if people was since 1984 up until today was picking atheism, your movement will be a lot bigger than what it is.
It is growing. Look at the percent. Look at the percentage of unreligious in the United States.
Hold on. It's growing on the internet, but in society, yeah, it's growing, but it's like the little turtle, like a little baby turtle walking. It's not growing nowhere near as fast as Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and some of these other religions that are out there. As a matter of fact, I believe the fastest growing religion right now is either Satanism or the New Age or New Ageism.
No, I don't think so.
I know so.
The percentage of Americans with no religious affiliation right now, which includes atheists,
Okay, so this should be entertaining. What are the percentage of atheists in the United States?
22.8%. So 23% in 2007.
22.8%. State your sources first before we challenge that in a minute.
What?
State your sources.
Find the poll. This is a 2014 religious landscape study.
And while he's looking that up, I just want to say goodbye. Thank you, G-Man, for letting me on and actually keeping me on. I appreciate it. I hope we can have a clean slate. And we'll move on. We'll talk. All right. Sounds good. You guys have a fantastic night. Thank you.
Okay. It was a 2014 religious landscape study conducted by Pew Research Center. Okay, so whether or not you think that's reliable or not, we're going to use these numbers. If you can find different numbers, we can use those.
You can use the numbers all you want, but I got a question about your numbers. All right, because I got a sneaky suspicion that people who don't go to church is part of that statistic you're talking about.
No. People who don't go to church are different. I used to be a Christian, and even though I didn't go to church, yeah.
Okay.
Even though I didn't go to church, I still identified as a Christian. We're going to church regardless. Most Christians don't go to church.
Are you an atheist?
They go for Easter, and they go maybe for Christmas. That's the norm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Why are you an atheist again?
Why am I don't see a need for a God to exist in order to explain the universe. And on top of that, I think organized religion in general has been used as a corruptive tool to control society and to keep people docile, and not in a sense generally to harm people. But if you look through history, if you look through history and the rise and spread of Christianity and other religions of that faith, and going back to the very founding of religions in general, whether it be animism or anything.
Right now, man, that's a pretty hefty claim you're making. But you know, I'm not going to make you prove it because you can't. Can't
prove what?
You can't prove nothing.
Just help out. I put in
you don't know
in the side chat about that.
Hold on. Can't prove what? Can't prove what?
You can't prove when religions got started. But
I'm not debating whether or not. Okay, can you at least agree with me that at some point in time a religion started?
Okay, cool. You said that you was a Christian, right?
Yeah, I was.
The reason why you became an atheist is because you didn't see a need for a God.
Absolutely.
Very quickly for me. What's your name, by the way?
Jake.
Your YouTube name here. What's the name that's on here? John, I think that is.
Jake. It's Jake.
Jake. Okay. All right. Cool. My monitor is over there. That's why I can't.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm using an old laptop.
That's right.
Okay. Cool. What's the gospel of Jesus Christ?
The gospel? You mean the New Testament?
No. What is the gospel of Jesus Christ?
Well, what are you referencing specifically? His message? His what?
Good.
Okay, I'll ask you this one more time. Okay, this is. I mean, if you was a Christian,
pretty much that's right there.
What is the gospel of Jesus Christ?
The gospel of Jesus Christ is spreading love and compassion for thy neighbor, following the 10 Commandments, and being generally a good person. I have no problem with Jesus' message. If you want, all right, in your interpretation, what is the gospel? Tell me. I see you're kind of frustrated.
No. Wait a minute, hold on. First, I need to address what you just said. That's not. I don't have my interpretation. I know what the Bible says about it.
All right, what is the gospel?
Jesus himself talked about what the gospel was.
Yeah.
What you just gave me was I don't even know what that you just gave me. That wasn't the gospel.
All right, what is the gospel?
The gospel is the good news that Jesus Christ came to die for sinners. If you was a Christian, then you recognize the fact that you was a sinner and that you needed a savior to save you from your own sins.
Absolutely. I disagree that an all-powerful God.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Okay. And if I forget what I'm going to say, you're going to be gone. Listen. Okay. You said that the reason why you became an atheist is because you didn't see a need for a God.
One of the reasons.
But according to you, when you was a Christian, according to the truth, when you was a Christian, you recognized that you was a sinner and you needed a savior. That doesn't make any sense.
What? No, I was a Christian up until I was like 14. I didn't pay very much attention to it. My parents said, go to church. I went, okay, cool. I didn't have a choice. So I grew up in a Christian household, and I didn't put much thought to it.
You was a church goer. You wasn't a Christian.
What?
You was a church goer. You wasn't a Christian.
Of course I believed in Jesus Christ, and I believed in all this. I no longer do. Okay, because I put thinking and I put thought.
What evidence was showing you that God isn't real?
Evidence.
Yeah, what evidence?
Well, first of all, you can be shown evidence upon evidence upon evidence of misconceptions and false facts presented in the Bible. If you want to attack the Holy Book, the burden of proof is not on me. The burden of proof is on the believer.
That's us.
Okay, young
You're
man.
in here.
Okay, wait a minute. Young man, listen, okay? An atheist is someone who has a lack of a belief in a God or gods. Or you could be a strong atheist or a militant atheist and straight up say that he don't exist. Yeah. I don't know what kind of atheist you are, but since you are saying you're an atheist, you don't believe that he exists.
Absolutely.
So what changed your mind that he isn't real?
What changed my mind? The fact that looking at scientific evidence, looking at what is the Earth, okay? Looking at where things came from, I saw no reason to believe that, yes, in that somewhere needed a God.
Well, you know the Earth is flat, right?
That sounds awfully. That sounds awful.
So globes are perpetrated by globe makers. That whole conspiracy. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So nobody showed you any proof that there wasn't no God and you believed it? Or I'm sorry, you looked at scientific evidence that would suggest that God isn't real. What scientific evidence do you look at?
I don't know, carbon dating, the age of the Earth.
What?
You yourself are a creationist.
Serious?
You yourself are a creationist that believes the Bible as fact, okay?
Are you serious?
The Bible as fact, and through
So do
genealogy.
Wait. You see what he's doing?
Carbon dating,
Wait,
man.
he knows God doesn't exist because he looks at things like carbon dating. So how does that disprove his existence?
Yeah.
Okay,
How does
it doesn't disprove. It does not disprove his existence. Okay, there is a giant flying unicorn out in space. Can you disprove his existence?
No. That's not how it's going to work, sir.
No.
That's not how it's going to work,
Can you
sir.
disprove
Jimmy
his
asked you a
existence?
very specific question, and you said he asked you what convinced you that God doesn't exist, and then you said carbon dating.
And what I'm talking about is the natural formation of the Earth and the things on it. Okay?
All right. Then you're speaking subjectively, then I guess.
Speaking subjective, you can talk about however I'm speaking as much as you want.
How old?
Evidence is there.
How old
It's
is
not
he?
evidence for the non-existence of God, though. That's just something that convinced you.
What is the evidence for the non-existence of a super big flying snake?
And
It doesn't
also-
matter. The burden of
and
proof
also-
is on you to prove
No,
it.
it's not. The burden of proof is on anybody
making a positive claim.
No. The
You
burden
are
of
making the
proof
positive claim that God is real.
No. The burden of proof is on anyone making a positive claim about anything. Okay?
And you're claiming that a supernatural...
Claiming. What are we claiming?
You're making a claim that God does not exist, so the burden of proof is on you.
No, we're not claiming
No,
God does
I'm not
exist.
claiming anything. I'm literally
Yes,
just...
you are. You just made a
I'm just
claim.
here. I've never seen a God. No one's ever seen a God in recent history. The amount of miracles and God sightings has surprisingly declined with the invention of the camera.
But gee,
See, now you're making another claim that you have to substantiate.
Okay, what claim are we making?
You're making a claim that there is no evidence for God.
Okay.
Okay, I'm literally just observing that. It's
Observing what?
the burden of proof on the
Wait,
believer
wait,
to
slow down,
show,
sir.
yeah, there actually is a God.
Slow down, sir. Wait, you said you're observing what? What are you observing?
I'm observing that the natural formation of the earth didn't require a God to make it.
Now, see,
Nor did
that's a claim. That's a claim, and you have to substantiate that.
I am
we can't.
substantiating it.
But you're not able to do that, though.
I am
John,
substantiating.
shut
No,
up.
you're not.
I'm not a
You're
geologist.
speaking-
I'm
you're
able to
speaking
recognize.
subjectively.
I'm not a geologist, but I'm able to recognize the legitimacy of the scientific facts of the creation of the earth. And nowhere in there does it say there was a God needed for this.
That is a claim that you're not able to substantiate. You're doing it again. You're going in a circle
Talk
now.
circles all you want.
You're going in a circle now.
That's your claim.
Okay, wait a minute, because Beckel's right. Beckel's right. You're making claims that you can't back up, and you just want
Okay,
to believe.
you're making claims
back
you
them
can't
up.
back up.
By the foolishness of preaching,
You
atheism.
are making claims. You
So-
are making claims that you
This is
cannot
the
back up.
same. This is the same game that atheists try to play with us in G Plus all the time. They act like the onus is only on the theists making the claim. No,
It
the atheists
is.
the atheists come into these discussions saying that there is no evidence of God. There is no need
Okay,
for
the
for
discussion
existence of God.
doesn't
And then when
matter.
we ask
The
you, when we
discussion-
ask you for backup for that, you always try to play these games like, oh no, the onus is on the theist. The onus is on the theist. No,
Of
that's not the
course it
case.
Of course
The onus
it
is on
is.
anybody making an affirmative a case.
Look out your window right now. Do you see God? Has anyone seen
Yes.
God?
When I look out
No.
the window, I see a blue sky and I see something that God has created. When you look out at the window, you see a blue sky. You see something that came out of a giant random flatulation in space billions of years ago.
Did you just say flatulation?
Yes, I did.
Well,
Rectal explosion.
Don't you mean
Now, wait a minute, wait.
Don't you mean inflation?
Wait, hold on. So the question is, we're both looking at the same thing. We're both looking at evidence.
Yeah.
The question is, how do we determine which one of our positions is right? How do we determine that?
You are trying to conform evidence to your belief.
No, that's what you're doing.
Go on rational
That's what you're
thought, look at evidence, and then derive an answer.
Oh my
You're trying
goodness.
to put
Sir,
the
you don't
answer
see that you're
before
doing
the
the same thing?
evidence.
Sir, you don't see that you're doing exactly what you're accusing us of?
No, I'm literally just looking
So
at
you
the
know
evidence.
for a fact
If
that God did
evidence-
not create this then?
No, oh my God, I'm not saying a fact one way or the
But
other.
that's the way you're speaking.
No, I'm saying the evidence.
shut up.
I'm saying the evidence does not suggest that there is a God, and no evidence will probably ever suggest that.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold
Poo-poo
on.
on you.
Hold on a minute. I like to take on this one. Jay, did you just sit in this room and say that there is no evidence that would suggest that God exists?
Yeah,
Or that-
unless you count
Wait
a book
a minute,
written
Jay.
by
Jay,
sand people 2,000 years
Jay,
ago.
operate my moderator.
Sand people.
You just don't know how to, thank you. Do it again, I'm going to mute you. Now listen, okay? according to you claim that there's no evidence in nature and with science that would suggest that God exists.
Absolutely.
How about we have an intelligent design conversation here real quick? And remember, all I gotta do is present evidence. Okay, that's all I gotta do, because you ain't gonna present diddly squat.
Okay.
All I gotta
words
do
and
is
speeches, that's nothing.
you're nothing. That's all I gotta do. Okay, and then as long as that happens, I presented something and you didn't. Okay. Now, here's the thing. A flower, was it intelligently designed or was it unintelligently designed?
Oh, okay.
It's not design. It's a question of random mutation. It's not it's a process. It's a process. You can't just say, boom, how did this flower get here? That flower got there over millions of years of
He
change.
doesn't know that. You don't know that, sir.
Well, a lot of people.
Positive claim.
Jake. Okay, according to you, it's mutations and it's time and how we get a flower, right? So where did the flower come from? What material was used to make the flower?
You know
It's
what,
a
that's the
carbon-based
really cool
organism.
thing about
I
science.
don't know the presuppositional argument that well, but I know it well enough to go backwards.
It's a carbon-based
Where did the
organism.
flower come from?
It's some carbon, exactly what he said, carbon-based. You know what the really cool thing about science is? We don't know all the answers, and we never claim to.
Yeah, but you're speaking dogmatically about the non-existence of God, though.
But isn't that
Let me show you
science?
something here,
that
Jake.
you know?
Jake. This was intelligently designed. Okay, this light bulb here. This was made by a human being.
Yep.
Okay, who had materials to make it.
All
It
right,
has a
then let me
specific
switch the
purpose.
question on you.
As a light bulb. Jake, listen. Okay, because according to you, there's no evidence. The reason why there's no evidence is you don't listen to nobody when they're presenting it to you. Okay? This right here was made by a human being. It has a very specific purpose. Okay, and if you screw it in with a certain kind of a lamp, this will light up and it will exude light.
I understand how a light bulb works.
Okay? A flower was made for a specific purpose too.
No, it wasn't.
Now, here's the thing. Now, you can go with the argument. Wait a minute. Listen to me, Jake. Okay, you can go with the argument that a flower was just randomly made. That was mutations in millions of years. Or a person can choose to believe, wow, look at that flower. That came out of the heart of a creator.
Okay, so
Someone
this is
had
why
to-
you're
now,
wrong.
Hold on. Maybe the things
Let me finish.
Okay, I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
Let me finish, okay? Someone who understands the ecosystem and has an understanding of oxygen and carbon dioxide and bees and how to make more flowers about.
Yeah.
And
How about the things? Have you ever thought that the things that don't meet any of those?
Try to refute it, Jake. Let me make the argument. We try to refute it, okay?
Okay.
Because this ain't got nothing to do with whether or not God exists. I'm gonna get to the nitty gritty in a minute with you, okay? The fact of the matter is, there's a better argument for intelligent design because we see that every day.
No, there's not.
Again, we have better arguments for intelligent design that things were made by an intelligence than we do about things coming from an accident.
That's absolutely not.
I can throw it on the ground, and you will not be able to observe it using your scientific method with civilizations, planets, and universes started because me randomly dropping some water on the ground.
G-Man, there's a difference between some. Okay.
Wait, what?
Can you say?
Listen, but guess what we would be able to do? We would be able to infer that, hey, someone might have thrown this on the ground. The difference is the scientific community has not come to the conclusion that, hey, maybe some all-powerful creator who created himself then took it upon himself to figure out this speck of dust right here, and he's going to make people in his image. Why? I don't know. He was lonely. Who knows? But he loves them. He loves them. And the all-powerful God,
Every word that comes out of your mouth
is the all-powerful God. What does he do to save his creation?
Wait. Now you're jumping. Hold on.
You expose the fact that you was never a Christian to begin with. And let me tell you why you were never a Christian, okay?
Okay.
If you read Genesis, you would know that that's not why God created man.
Okay.
It's clear you never read the Bible before. So
I have read the Bible.
Don't even try the contradiction garbage later.
I have read the Bible.
No, you have not. Because if
yes,
you
I
did,
have.
What you just said.
I have.
I can actually get my Bible and
understand
read
it.
I can too.
Prove to you never read it.
I'm sorry. You just don't have a convincing argument that for the non-existence of God. I'm sorry. What you're doing, all you're doing. Sir, wait a minute. Let me just finish my statement. All you're doing is pointing out to things that already exist, right? But and you're disagreeing with the idea that God is behind it. Okay, I understand that.
Absolutely.
But you're not disproving that, though. You're not. All you're doing is looking at things that are already in
I
existence.
agree. I agree.
So,
The difference is it's very, very difficult to put up an argument against a giant flying space unicorn. You can't argue with that.
That's why
You
you're
can't.
gullible. And that's
You
why you're
physi-
gullible.
No, you physically cannot argue against that because guess what? Out there somewhere, it's there. You can't argue.
Oh, and
that.
by the way, if you don't believe in a Christian God, can you accurately describe him? Because the last time I checked, he wasn't a flying invisible unicorn.
No,
So,
I'm
if you
just
don't
using that
believe
as an
in the
example.
Bible,
The Christian God is just as ludicrous.
and accurately explain who and what he is. Because if you can't do it, you're gonna sound like a fool.
I'm not going to play games with you describing Christianity. The point of the matter is,
If you was a
G-Man,
Christian,
the point of the matter
there
is,
is somebody in this room who's an ex-Christian here, who's presently professing to be an atheist.
this
and
argument of saying you weren't a Christian, you weren't a real Christian.
That's not what
I was a Christian. I identified as a Christian.
No, whoa.
I went to Sunday
You
school.
statesman. Jake, okay? Let's clarify something here real quick, okay? I never said that you wasn't a real Christian. I'm saying that you wasn't a Christian, period.
I understand. And that's a much more egregious
There's no way in the
claim.
world you could have been a Christian. You can't even tell me what the gospel is. Are you serious?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.